Hello, and welcome to the Student Experience podcast, where we'll be chatting to members of the University of Suffolk community, giving them the opportunity to share their experience with us. I'm Sam, and I'm a member of the Student Experience and Engagement team, and in today's episode, we're joined by Elle Laming, who is a Level 4 social work student. We discussed her time at the university so far, her recent university trip to Malaysia, as well as Ellie's role as a course representative. So, Ellie, would you like to introduce yourself and your course that you're studying?
So my name's Ellie, and I am currently a social work student, and I have just finished my first year.
Brilliant. So what first attracted you to the University of Suffolk? What made you want to come here?
So I was previously a student here, and I really enjoyed education and being here, part of the university. So I decided I would like to come back, and being my age, I had to put in, make sure that I had a job and things like that. So financially, I was able to, come to uni.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep my job and everything. So I was part-time working. So for me, it was easy to come to this university as I live locally.
Oh, fantastic.
But also I did do some research in regards to social work, and over the past few years, social work has really gone up in the University of Suffolk, and I have friends and I have family who also went to this university.
Oh, wonderful.
And my mum also done social work.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, she did. So she graduated a few years, maybe 20 years ago.
Wow, okay.
And yes, she's a fantastic social worker. So, following in her footsteps.
And your inspiration, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
So, with your mum sort of studying social work, is that something you've always wanted to do then?
No. So initially, I have a background in health. So I've worked for I worked for the NHS for 10 years, and I worked as a phlebotomist, and I also done my degree prior in paramedic science. So and I got a certificate of higher education.
Mm-hmm.
So I was stationed out of East of England Ambulance Service, which is in Ipswich.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, my heart kind of aligned with medicine, and I loved emergency medicine. But I felt as I was doing my placement in the ambulance service that there was a lot of admissions into hospital which were due to social situations. And and I felt like there was a little gap there. So I then went and worked for the hospital team at Ipswich Hospital in social services, and they have another team which is called React, and they prevent hospital admissions, and also they support individuals that come into hospital that need some additional support, so preventing admission into hospital, and beds then being more available. So it kind of met in the middle, so with the health background and the social care, and so that's where I am now, and I'm hopefully in a couple of years I'll be able to be a social worker and help further.
Is that what you'd like to do, something like the social work with like adults in like the hospital situation, or generally with adults or children? What would be your
at
aim?
The moment it is very much adult swayed. I do have an upcoming placement. I don't know where it is yet, but the likelihood is that it will be with children in children's services.
Big challenge.
Absolutely. But I'm looking forward to the challenge, and I know that I have to keep it open just in case. I think, this is great. This is more me. So I'm open to the idea of working with children, but at the moment, very much swayed with going into adult services. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned, you've studied here before and you chose to do social work. Was there anything else that you looked at, maybe along similar kind of health lines?
So I had looked at, prior to going into paramedic science, I looked at nursing. But I had spent a long time within a hospital, within working on wards, and I felt like I wanted to go out into the community, so hence why I did paramedic science. But no, other than social work and paramedic science, they were the main two that I looked at. I did look at counselling, doing my degree in counselling. But I thought with my social work degree, that was very much opened many doors, and
definitely.
I felt as if that perhaps in 3 years' time or a couple years' time after I've done my degree, if I don't want to do social work anymore, then there are many other avenues that I can go down.
Definitely,
So I'm very much health or social care aligned, really.
Definitely. I mean, it sounds like you're very much, correct me if I'm wrong, you relish a challenge, I would say. So so that leads us to saying, how are you finding balancing your study, being sort of towards the end of your first year with us, and your life balance? Obviously, from this perspective, saying you like a bit of a challenge, how do you balance everything out? So
it's funny you say that, because when I told my mum that I was going, that I applied to do social work, she just said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm so sure." And I think working and having experienced a very pressured environments,
definitely.
I do relish in that, absolutely. Like I'm not a glass half empty person, I like, the challenge. So I'm finding it this first year, actually I felt like I've actually taken a step back.
Okay.
And I'm not as busy, because I made a mistake the first time around, when I was at university, and I put a lot of pressure on myself I had a flat, and I had, I had a job, and I had to run my car, and financially things were very difficult for me, trying to balance up, with a placement as well. So I was working a unhealthy amount of hours, going on a night shift and then doing a day shift just to try and, fund my way. And this time I've done it differently. So obviously due to the cost of living crisis as well, I've found myself back at home, which I may add, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. So it's great, coming home and looking in the fridge and there being food, which is lovely.
Definitely a bonus.
It is. But so I have taken a step back this year. So actually this first year so far, touch wood, has been very smooth. And I haven't prioritised going to work. I've prioritised my studies. I do understand that I'm very privileged to be able to do that. But there are a lot of options for students like me. There's bursaries. I've been able to, still have a life outside of it with working a part-time now and then. I'm currently not working, but there are so many available resources out there that if you just do a bit of research, definitely, there's help and support there regardless. So I don't want it to stop anyone from coming to university, because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to come out with a degree, you're going to come out with, the ability to go into a job that you want to and have that finance there. So,
It sounds like you very much, like you said, you're kind of in a really good position where you've reflected on your past experience as a student the first time round and said, actually, that wasn't a very healthy, like I say, work-life balance. So that didn't work for me. Going forward, I want to change things. It sounds like you've very much done that. And I think, like you said, it's moving back home. There's nothing wrong with that, like you said, but you've also looked into what is available for you should you find yourself in a position where you want to live sort of on your own again, kind of thing. You know that there's things in place, like you said, the finance and things like that. And I think it's really key what you said about just researching and finding out
absolutely
what is available to you, as a student, that there is some, everybody wants you to succeed. They want students to succeed. It's just, like you said, being quite proactive with finding out what's out there, really, isn't it? So,
no, it is. And also, like, for me, this opportunity to come back to university the second time around, it has been a bit of a struggle regards to student finance, but explaining my circumstances to student finance, they were willing to give me another shot. Brilliant. And this is what I want to put out there, is don't let student finances necessarily stop you. Do speak to them, know what your options are, because I've already taken two plus years of student finances, but after explaining my circumstances, it was during COVID, it was my mental health wasn't brilliant. They were willing to fund me for this course. So don't allow anything to stop you, because there's always a way, and where there's a will, there's a way.
Definitely.
So you mentioned that you've moved back home, and that's sort of been beneficial. So in terms of when you're studying, typical sort of study day, how does it look? Are you someone who likes routine, or?
Oh, I am a stickler for routine. I'm the biggest control freak out there. So the way that I'm definitely a morning person. So when I do study, it's, I have set up a routine. So I'm at university Thursdays and Tuesdays within term times. And during the rest of that time, I'll wake up in the morning. I set my alarm for around 7:00. And I'll do my work then. So I'll do a few hours. I then go off and do my own thing, go to the gym or whatever, do whatever I need to do. And then I come back sometimes and do a bit more, but it's just dependent. But for me, having that routine, that structure in place, that I'm going to do this time. And then I usually treat myself like, I'll do a couple of hours, then I go get breakfast or, so there's an incentive for me to, study. But I think what helps massively is when you really enjoy something. Then it's your world's your oyster. Then I end up in these rabbit holes sometimes, and I'm like, how did I even get here? So having a structure, having some routine, having friends as well within your team that kind of spur you along. Because we have a group chat, so they post in the group chat, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be studying at the Mix, or there's a coffee shop in town that we go to, and we'll meet here at so and so if you fancy it. And that definitely helps as well.
It sounds like it's really important, like you say, having those other sort of people in place who are in the same boat as you, essentially. And can actually say, I found it really helpful, like you said, having a group when I was a student, having those people who knew what you were going through, but also added their own experiences and things into the conversations and said, have you thought about looking, say you've got an assignment, have you looked at it from this angle, have you looked at it from that angle? And you all bring your own expertise to it, and you all bring your own experiences and ideas. I think it's really important to really, like you said, make those friendships while you're here as well, if you can. So,
definitely. And I know in my previous course at paramedic science, I met some great friends, and my best friend, it's her birthday tomorrow, happy birthday.
Shout out.
She's my best friend, and I've met her from that course. And we went through so much together, and there's some people on my course now that we have such a good friendship, and some of the bestest friends you meet at uni.
That's awesome. I'm still sort of good friends with, 3 years ago I finished my course, and I'm still good friends with the people I finished with. And like you say, those people, you bond over various things. I did the same last year in COVID, so we literally only had each other in a chat group, essentially. But we got each other through to graduation as well. So
there's so much to say for that, just having each other.
So in terms of sort of your course more specifically, is there anything that is your sort of favourite part about studying the course? Is it the content or?
So for me, I'm working in the council prior. I was an independence and wellbeing practitioner. So a lot of the things that social workers did in that team, I had done, but obviously within my perimeters and my boundaries as an IWP. But a lot of those things, I didn't know why I was doing it. So what I found really interesting in this course is the theory, is everything that underpins social work. So without realising, I'd done a lot of these things anyway, but now knowing why I was doing them, the theory behind it, It's so, sometimes the way I used to communicate with the service participants prior, I now look at it and think, oh, that was a solution-based approach, that. So that's been really an eye-opener for me. And it's been great. I've really enjoyed the lectures as well. There's a whole scope of lectures to whole different things that we're learning. What's really interested me is sort of we've been looking at like black perspective and white privilege. Yeah. So looking very heavily in equality and diversity, and that has been such an eye opener.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so really enjoyed that, and the Great and Garfield lectures on them have been fantastic, and has made us all really think about our practice and how we perform that.
It's definitely really, like you said, it's really important to the first part of what you just said, underpin why you're doing it. What you have to do, but why are you doing it?
Yeah.
What theory like backs it up, or where did it come from in the first place? But also, like you just said in the second part of what you just said, I think that's the courses should start conversations which you probably never thought about before. It should look at all perspectives and like actually, especially in social work, there's so many individual cases, there's so many complexities to it.
So much.
So knowing and going, oh yeah, we know we've covered this, we've spoke about this, but it's good to experience it at the same time and hear that there isn't just one way of things being done as well. So yeah,
I actually think that the lectures in regards to black perspective and white privilege and equality and diversity, I think that should be open to every course within the university. I think we need to start talking, really.
Definitely. I agree.
And I've really looked at myself and about the way that I carry myself or present myself or the way that I am with other people, and it's really adjusted the way that I think about things without realising I was doing anything wrong. Not that I was doing anything wrong, but
no, definitely not.
Just being very sensitive about the matter and
mindful of it.
Yeah, so I really do think that it's benefited our group massively, and it should be open to every course within the university.
Perfect. That's brilliant. That's a really good point. Really good point. So taking you further back, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So what do you feel was the biggest difference between further education and higher education? So I know you said that you've been here before.
Yes.
What was your kind of experience before coming to university?
Yeah, funny enough, I never thought I was academic in the slightest. I've always struggled massively. I've never been the most smartest person, should we say.
I'm sure that's not true.
Like growing up, my brother was the one with all the brains. He's maths degree and he's very academic. For me, I come from a background of being very creative, so I actually studied at sixth form fine art.
Oh wow!
Drama and theatre studies.
Ooh,
I know. Photography.
Very different.
I know. English literature, and I was actually due to go to Colchester University and study fine art. So I got in to do that, and that was something that told me not to do it, and that's when I went into full-time employment within the hospital. So academic wise, I've never felt good enough, and I never thought that I would be writing how I'm writing now and Harvard referencing, and I know it's absolutely terrifying initially, but once you get used to it, it's
you do it all the time after that.
You do it like
second nature.
This is it. Like I'm writing like some some posts on Instagram and thinking, should I Harvard reference this? So yeah,
it's embedded in your practice.
It really is. So I left. So I didn't go back to university until I was 23, 23, 24. And I was absolutely terrified because I had just thought, how am I going to do this? I thought, how am I going to, all this this theory side and writing and, Harvard referencing was so daunting to me. And that first year, I really struggled when I was doing paramedic science. But then what I regret in hindsight is having, now I'm accessing all the other support services that are available out there, like library, and being not afraid to ask for help and support.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's funny enough, I never thought I was, I never thought I could do this. And look at me now, and I've passed everything. I write some stuff and think, oh, who wrote that? And I realise, oh, it's me. It's my writing. So coming from someone who thought they weren't academic to someone who now, I would probably even say that I am quite academic now.
Obviously,
yeah.
You are, yeah. It takes a lot to do. Like I said, you've gone from doing paramedic science, which is obviously incredibly difficult, to social work, which is also the same. So you've proved yourself, but I mean, I'm guessing most students and staff members, we all get imposter syndrome and think, did I say that?
Yeah.
And it's having that self-belief, but you clearly have to have got this far, so...
And it's, I would say to, if anyone, if I can do it, anyone can do that, from a background of fine art and, and from now, and I'm writing these assignments and I'm reading it back and thinking, who's that? So I don't want anyone for them to stop them just because they think that they're not academic.
That's a really good point. I mean, like you said, fine art and photography, there's a total difference. But are they still a passion of yours? Is it something you still do on outside of university at all?
Yeah. So I draw, and I draw quite a lot. Well, at the moment I'm having a bit of a it's not writer's block, but an artist block.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it is.
A creative block.
Yeah, but I've done some portraiture and I've commissioned some work and stuff. So I do
incredible.
That on the sly. So, but yeah, at the moment, currently not so much. But I've got I want to get back into it because it mentally for me it helps me switch off.
I was about to say, is it like a creative outlet, like you said, as a way of supporting because obviously you're going to be dealing with some quite heavy themes and cases and things, so obviously that's good to have that balance of a passion on the outside of university that helps you like focus on something else for a while to get back into the zone when you need to as well.
Self-care, isn't it? It's like I said, with my paramedic science, I think I neglected all of these, and this is how it's been such a different experience than last time. It's because I've put myself first. And I've put, how can I have this longevity of doing this for the foreseeable, and it's prioritising yourself and those little things that you forget and you lose sometimes, but making sure you do them. And keep accountable for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, we've said earlier in the podcast, just having that first experience going, actually, I am recognising maybe that's not the best way of going about it. So you've got almost a second chance of coming and saying, no, I'm going to study a totally different way this time. And it sounds like you're doing the right things, like you said, you're taking your foot off the pedal a bit, as it were, to know, because the first time it didn't work, if that makes sense. So
yeah, absolutely.
Perhaps maybe looking back to you first came to uni as paramedic science students, was there anything in particular that surprised you about university that maybe you weren't expecting when you first joined?
Yes, yeah. I was surprised at how how I had viewed university. I kind of felt as if university was like a school. Like you go to school like 9 to 5 and whatever, 9 to 5, 9 to 3. I wish. But it wasn't like that. You have to have accountability for yourself. It's adult learning at the end of the day. So that for me was initially a massive shock, because I need sometimes a kick up the bum and being like, come on, Ellie, just do it, and
we all need that, trust me.
So if I didn't turn up or one day and there was no one was to blame other than myself. So the difference there, that was a bit of a shock, because I kind of felt like there's somebody was going to be on my back the whole time. You haven't done this, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, But no, it's there is that relaxed approach in there, because that is what adult learning is. But yeah, so that was a bit of a shock for me, definitely. I think, not also, I kind of thought, the access to other resources and support, I didn't really look at it the first time, but this time around, being aware and knowing what is out there, the support from within the university, that kind of shocked me a little bit, because I wasn't expecting that. I kind of just thought, it was just go to uni, you do your lectures, you do your assignments, you go home, but there's so much more to the uni experience than that.
Definitely. Yeah. Have you accessed support within the university, and how have you found it?
Yeah, so actually I've recently, a couple of months ago, spoke to someone from the career centre bit, and they helped me out with my CV.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah, and they were really helpful. So Darren was amazing, and gave me so much insight, and other ways I can look into some work, because currently, with it being summer holidays, I'm looking for some seasonal work or part-time employment, back on the like bank work or agency work. So that helped me with my CV, because I hadn't looked at my CV in years, and I looked at it and I thought it was great, and then there was so much tweaking that needed to be done. It was crazy. So
cover letters now and things.
Oh,
honestly.
Honestly, and you can't just have one CV.
No,
you're gonna every job that I apply for is like I'm having to tailor it to the job, and I'm like, oh, why is this so difficult? But that was very helpful, and Darren was great and helped me out with my LinkedIn profile. And yeah, so I've accessed that support, and I've accessed the library before, and when I'm doing assignments, for them to help me go over a few things. So there's a lot of support out there. So
it's good that it sounds like exactly where to go to look for the support as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think it's important that as a campus we do obviously really go out of our way to make sure that students are aware of what's out there. But at the same time, like you've pointed out earlier in the podcast, coming to university, it's adult learning. Does have to be a sense of autonomy as well in looking up things and going, actually, is there something for this? Like, can I get support for this as well? But it sounds like you know where you're going and what you're doing. Yeah. So that's great.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's I can't credit the university enough, but maybe, sometimes I think maybe is it because I've already done this one time around.
Yeah.
But I do feel like coming back to the university, I think there's a lot more. It's a lot more out there. There's a lot more adverts. There's a lot more. As soon as you come to uni in those first few weeks, those pertinent few weeks, there are people coming talking to us about what the services are available out there. But it's that autonomy, isn't it? It's grabbing it and just saying, I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
no, completely agree.
So you mentioned it. You're at the end of your first year now. So has there been any challenges that you've faced so far that you've overcome?
There's been a lot of challenges. I think, getting back into the swing of being back at university and establishing a routine, that is easier said than done. For me, they're all imposter syndrome challenges, like we spoke earlier, is am I doing the right thing? Can I do this? I have those doubts weekly. But I think that's completely normal. It's just not letting those eat you up. You can do it, and there's the support out there and your friends out there, and they'll push you and they'll help you out and they'll get you on your way. So for me, it's those internal challenges. It's the imposter syndrome. It's but you plod on. That's very normal to feel like that.
Exactly.
And you can do it. You can do it.
Yes, you can.
They wouldn't let you on the course if you didn't.
Well, no, exactly. So, very excitingly, you recently participated in the trip to Malaysia.
I did.
So, yes, could you tell us how you found out about it, what made you do it, and what it involved, really?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was scrolling. Well, I was scrolling. I was on my my Brightspace, and I was looking for something, and I had stumbled across an advert, and it was in regards to a trip to Malaysia, and it was a cultural exchange, and it was about sustainability, and the United Nations sustainability goals, and it was underpinned in this course, and it was regards to business management, and yeah, that was all that was pretty much there. So I knew it was, the United Nations sustainability goals, that I looked at them, did my research, and I was like, oh, this is a bit of me, this, and I just thought I'll apply for it. I've always wanted to travel. My goal, hopefully, is after I graduate, is saving enough money to do a bit of solo traveling myself.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah,
but at the moment, because of being at university, it's never been an option because of finances, and just not having the time. So I looked at this and I thought, why not? Like, probably won't get it, but let's just apply for it anyway. So I typed out this very wordy, like personal statement of how and why I wanted to do this, and why, what passionate about the United Nations sustainability goals. And I wrote it in about an hour, and I didn't think much of it. I just thought, it'll be a great opportunity, but it's probably not my time, but let's send it off. And then within a few days, was it a few days? Well, it was about a week, I think. I had an email back, just asking me questions like, are you a social work student? I was like, yeah, social work student. And then literally a couple of days later, I had a call. No, I didn't have a call. I had an email saying, congratulations, you've been successful. We'll fly out in a month. So
wow,
I know. So yeah, that was very intense. I just
reality kicks in.
Literally, I was walking into the gym, and I didn't think anything. And I just looked at my phone, and I was like, looking at it like, is this real? Is this real? And I called my mum, and she was like, oh wow, that's so amazing, I'm so jealous, blah blah blah. And then that was that. And then we had a few meetings with like the lecturers over in Malaysia, because it was like an exchange within a university over there, and a kind of a brief overview of what we'll be doing. And then within a month, we flew out there on the 1st of June, and then it was actually my birthday on the 2nd of June, so I was in the air. Nice. And it was my 29th birthday. And as we flew in, and we were greeted by some of the lecturers and the tutors, our hosts, from the university in Malaysia, and they all sang happy birthday to me. And brought me a cake.
Amazing.
I know. I was like starstruck. Not starstruck, but like deer in headlights after flying nearly 24 hours. Like, this is great. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in Malaysia.
That's wonderful.
And then we got taken out for food and stuff. And then we went to the university and had a tour around the campus, and kind of like showing us around the place. And then we started this course that we done, and it was about sustainability and how to assess sustainability in business. So we'd done loads of things actually. Like there's so much I could elaborate on. We went to conferences about sustainability. We met with some amazing people, the vice chancellor of the university. I actually unfortunately didn't get the chance to, but two of the people that I went with, they met the president of Malaysia.
Oh my goodness!
It's absolutely wild. Like, it's so like I can't wrap my head around it, because it was such a strange but amazing experience. Like, everyone that we met was so kind and thoughtful, and they just wanted to feed you food. Like, honestly,
lovely.
I had to be rolled out of Heathrow, It was fantastic experience, and I'd done an internship with a company called Sanang Pay, and it was so Sanang Pay is like PayPal, so it's like a channel where it prevents fraud. So your payment goes through that instead of directly to whatever the company is that you're paying, or a business, or and so their goals is sort of like preventing fraud. Just a safer way of paying money. And they were great, and they were so accommodating. So I spent a couple of days there, and they taught me, we went through some meetings, and so I had to assess using a framework that we were taught before I had my internship about the sustainability of their company. So we'd look at this, it's called P5. So 5, we're people, the people side, so like the equality and diversity, the equal opportunities. So you looked at also the planet, so the waste disposal, how ecological viable they are.
Yep.
And so we looked at all these different aspects, and then we had to do a presentation on our outcomes of our internship and present it to the university. So for me, that was quite hard because I'm not very good at public speaking. I get very nervous and clammy and start sweating and start panicking. But I didn't feel intimidated at all. And it was a great experience. And then we had a ceremony when we finished, and we awarded a certificate, and everyone just made such a fuss of us, and it was so lovely, and they were so kind, and they took us around Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia.
Oh my goodness.
We went to Batu Caves. We went. We done so much. There's like, I've never been so busy in 3 weeks. I don't think I felt like every free time I had, I just wanted to explore. And there was so much opportunity to do that.
Good.
And I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And not only did I have this opportunity, I also made some great friends. And so there was 5 of us all together. And the people that I went with were amazing. And they were all from different faculties. They were all from different courses.
I was going to say, were they?
Yeah. So one was mental health. One was PhD. Research midwifery.
Oh wow!
I know, she's honestly, Patience just got us through because she was so great. She was the one doing all the talking, and I was like, yeah, you can schmooze.
You need one of those,
yeah. When my social batteries ran out, I just go, Patience, go on. And then Gina, who was nutrition, and Amira, who I shared my apartment with, was dentistry. So
all
yeah,
very different courses, which is really good for like experience sharing and things.
It very different, and it's quite interesting really, because in Malaysia, when I explained that I was doing my degree in social work, they don't do that over there. So their social and health system is very, very different to ours. In regards to social care, there's not necessarily such a need, because everyone within a family, they support each other in Malaysia. And over here, it's a bit different. We probably don't do enough for our loved ones compared to over there. So you get, if you're unwell or if you need support, everyone rallies together to support you. So there is such a difference. And just having that experience and seeing the differences from the UK to, Malaysia was such an experience. And midwifery is not a thing over there either.
Oh, wow.
It's just like a nurse who then specialises in, children, maternity care.
Oh my goodness.
And then mental health's not really a thing over there. Dentistry was, and nutrition was completely different. But all of these courses, they were so different over there. And I think exchanging that difference in culture and how we do things and how they do things was such a fantastic experience. And I had the best time. Absolutely incredible. It was amazing.
Sound making me very jealous. I'm like, I want to go. But I mean, I'm guessing you guys will stay in touch as well with each other to kind of, because you've had that great shared experience, and it'd be great for you to get some kind of journal. Did you make like a journal or anything of your time?
So I did start a blog, nothing that's published yet that
I mean,
like
that
I've
would be
put
great
online.
to see, really great to see.
But I did like manage to get about a week in, and then it kind of like to divert off. So my plan is to kind of look through all my pictures and start filling it in again. I've got loads of pictures. They love pictures over there. So you'd have like 20 minutes dedicated time, everything you did, so that they could take pictures of you. Like I honestly felt like royalty. Like they took pictures in every unflattering angle that you could ever imagine, and then I'd say, look, that's awful, and they'd be like, no, it's candid. So
that's the term for a terrible picture. Fine, fair enough.
So my face is all out in the ether somewhere, so which is quite scary. But yeah, they love pictures, and so much culture to diversity. And in Shah Alam, where we stayed, where our apartment was,
very rewarding. And
so rewarding. So rewarding.
The time now to kind of reflect on it and say, okay, and like you said, really interesting about the different practices you learn about. I was like, oh, okay, so their courses must be very different, and you can learn so much from each other about, you know, the different practices and things that are put in place.
Yeah, and you know, I've made some great friends as well, which I'm very lucky to have made. And so it was a great experience.
Yeah, wonderful.
That sounds like an unbelievable opportunity, and you can tell that, you know, you're one of these students that you see an opportunity, you think you're going to go for it.
Yeah.
So I understand you might be looking into maybe some micro placements as well.
Yeah. I've applied for a micro placement, and I've had an interview. I haven't heard back yet. But I just any experience for me is good experience, and because of my situation that I'm in, I'm just trying to grab everything as you know when I can.
Best way to do it, definitely.
Absolutely, and the library services, that's the micro placement that I have gone for. It's just, you know, I haven't been in the library as much as I could do, you know, and I haven't utilised, you know, it still takes me about a half an hour to find a book, you know. So having this experience to be able to know what the services are out there, and also utilising them, and you know, and using those experiences into my own practice and my own work, you know, it's a one-off, it's one of a kind. You've just got to grab it and you've got to go for it.
Exactly. I mean, the more I see about the micro placements, like you said, it's a good way of getting to understand a bit more about how the university works. And I mean, obviously our office is in the library, so we know we're in a really lucky position that we see what the librarians do. Obviously there's like front of house, there's the learning and teaching librarians, there's the academic skills advisors, but doing a micro placement would be great for you as a student to say, oh, this is what's going on, this is how this is informed, this is why these particular things are in place. And like you say, explore it a bit more than what you probably usually would do just from being a student in that sort of environment, really. So
no, definitely. I think as well, like for me, with I've done a lot of my experiences in health and social care, you know, and I've done a little bit of admin work when I was a lot younger, but having experienced the library side of things and doing something different just really opens me up and opens up my CV and opens up my other opportunities. And you know, if I can, that's what at the moment these 3 years are about: making experience, building all your knowledge, and you know, at the end of it, you know, utilizing all those experiences. So you know, these 3 years, I feel like this time around I just can't waste.
Brilliant. I mean, you're inspiring me, thinking, what can I do, kind of thing. But I think, like you said, if you're looking from a serious employability point of view, these things on your CV are invaluable to employers going, okay, so she's done this, she's took this, like Sam said, she's took this opportunity, she's not one of those people who can just sit still and wait for things to happen. You actually go out there and say, well, actually, I want to find out more about this. You sounds like you push yourself out of your comfort zone a lot, which is considering you get imposter syndrome as well. Yeah. You know, I think that, as a student, it's definitely good for you going out into employability and saying, look, I've done all of these things. I'm willing to take chances.
Yeah.
I'm willing to, you know, have a go at different things. And I think that looks amazing to employers. It really does.
Yeah, it does. And I, you know, for me as well, and like you just said, you know, these years that I've just started, like it was not a fight with student finance, but it was, I'm not taking it for granted. And I do have massive anxieties. Like I've suffered with anxiety the majority of my life, and you know, I've had mental health issues, and I do get really bad anxiety about doing things. Like sometimes it's a struggle to walk out my front door, but for me the only way that I do things is by doing it. And so some days I may not feel like doing it, but I push myself. I get to the point where I don't give myself an option. And you know, it's that first jump, isn't it? Initially, you're absolutely, you know, for me, my head is just words and just, you know, but once I've done it, that feeling, I just think, you know, you can't beat it. Yeah, and I never thought at this age that I'd be where I am and doing all these things, because I never thought, and I never allowed myself to do them. And, you know, it's just, I'm very grateful, and I couldn't imagine myself being where I am today. So, and the only person I got to thank really is myself, because without sounding arrogant, because I really pushed myself, and you know, I've just, the only way doing it is just by doing it.
Exactly. So you've ignored that inner critic almost and said, actually, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm going to push myself forward. And that takes huge, you know, amounts of maturity, huge amounts of self-awareness, and saying, actually, I know this is something I don't really know if I want to do it, and I'm going to do it anyway, or I'm going to at least take that chance, not knowing how it's going to end up and how it's going to go forward. I think that's a really good quality to have, like a personal quality to be.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, I've been through years of therapy, and I've just taught myself that. So I've got my intrusive thoughts. I've named them Patricia. So I'll go to her, I say, Patricia, you can come back tomorrow if you fancy it, but right now I need to do this. So we can talk about it tomorrow over a cup of tea, like it's fine. And just putting it aside, and then just going for it. But it's not easy. No, but the first jump's the hardest, and once you've done it once, you're like, oh, I can do anything. So
definitely. So you're also a course representative for the social work course. So could you tell us a little bit about what that involves?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great opportunity to do this, and my reason I wanted to go for it was because, you know, I want to get the best out of this course and the best experiences, not just for me, but for my whole cohort. And I've also been in the position where I've never been able to go out directly and speak to anyone within my group or with anyone within the university. So I wanted to be that advocate for my group, so that they felt comfortable to talk to someone, because I felt like before, no fault except from my own, that I never, you know, thought, you know, I never had anyone to talk to. So I wanted to be that voice and that advocate for my group. And also, you know, doing this course is, for most of us, is you don't sit down, you know, it's not a little decision, it's a massive decision. And, you know, we want to make the most out of it. So, and also I want to make the most out of my experience. So I felt like I was a good person because I've been in a lot of positions, and I've been and I feel like I'm able to empathise with other people, and just to be a good support for other people. So that's the reason why I went for it. But it's been challenging. Because you've got so many views of different people. People have different learning patterns, the way they like to learn. People have, you know, within my cohort, there's apprentices and then there's BA students. And the apprentices, they are practicals. They work throughout the week, and then they come to university on the Thursday. So their experience is very different to the BA students. and there is a course rep for the apprentices, but I just want to make sure that, you know, especially with the BA students, that their voices are being heard, because there's a lot of apprentices, and I don't know, I want the students to realise that, you know, they're just, you know, their experiences, whether or not it's been in social care or been in anything like, you know, working behind a desk in an office job, their experiences, you can, they're, you know, you can use them in whatever you do in social work. So it's just giving people a voice, really. So that was the reason I wanted to do it.
I like the word when you said you're being an advocate. I think that's a really good description of a course rep. Like just like you say, ensuring everybody's voices are heard and things like that. Obviously, that's, you know, we obviously work with the course reps from a student voice forum perspective, and we are always really, really pleased that course reps come forward, because we know it's a huge responsibility coming forward, and like you say, being that voice of everybody. But I think advocacy is definitely the right term to come out with and say, you know, this is why you want to do it, to ensure that everybody's voices and recognising not everybody's views are going to be the same as each other's, but still sharing them anyway, and saying, you know, your views might not be the same as mine, but everybody's voices need to be heard. So
moving into level 5 in September, this is when I guess someone's experience at uni gets more important. So is that something that you're looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to level 5, to the second year of my degree, because of the placement. So we've got a 70-day placement coming up. So I'm very much looking forward to starting to put everything that I've learned into practice. I mean, it definitely has it. I have my moments where, you know, like I said, that imposter syndrome, thinking I can't do this, you know. But I'm very, very looking forward to it, and I think it would just completely change my perception of what social work is as well, because it's a completely new avenue. So it's not with adults necessarily, it could be with children, so it's going to really open me up to new experiences, new challenges, and just give me such a more of an insight to that particular department of social work. So I'm very excited, and I'm very much looking forward to having a bit of structure again as well. Because I keep, because I've been off for a little while now, I keep thinking that I'm really lazy and thinking I'm not doing enough. So just being able to
have this break while you can.
Yeah, I know. But then there's like this, it's like the social contract of work, of having to go to work and doing all these things. You're thinking in your head, oh, I should be going to work, but then I'm enjoying it. What do I do? But, you know, so I am looking forward. Ask me that again after the 70 days. I'll probably say something completely different.
We will be coming to speak to early level 5. How's the difference between level 4 and 5? But
I know there's going to be a massive jump. I know that second year and third year, they're the ones that they really, really count. Like first years, of course, it counts. And that's what annoys me. Everyone's like, first year doesn't really count because none of your, your grades amount to anything as long as you pass. But I really disagree with that. I think that's that foundation, that first year.
Yeah,
so
agree.
Yeah, so second and third year, it really does. You know, it's going to be a lot more of a challenge. But I just got to keep on reminding, keep on doing me, and I'll be all right. And so,
So with that, obviously we don't want to jump you too far ahead in your journey.
Yeah.
But what do you think life after graduation will look like for you? What do you think is going to be your end goal? Is there something in mind that you'd like to do after graduating?
I don't really want to start planning for it yet.
No, fair enough.
I have a goal in mind, and that goal is, to be working within social services with Suffolk County Council, hopefully. Please employ me. But in what services, I don't know. These next few years are going to be those years where I'm starting exploring other avenues. Yeah. I have a feeling, though, that I probably will come back to education at some point.
Can't stay away.
No. But ask me, like I said, ask me again in after I finish my degree and I'm doing my dissertation. But yeah. So just carry on, just taking life, you know, by its horns, and just going for every opportunity and every experience I can out there. And that's what I'm hoping will continue after my experience at university.
Definitely.
And you know, maybe even moving out of my parents' house.
Well,
That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it?
no.
Yeah.
But you won't have food in the fridge all the time.
Yeah,
So.
actually, yeah, no, that's very true. That is, but every single day, my mum's been writing me a list of things to do around the house.
She's keeping you busy.
Yeah, she is. She's keeping me on my toes. She's, it's just, but I just want to carry on being happy, healthy, and still have the drive and determination that I do now. That's my ultimate goal.
We'll come back to you at the end of level 6
Yeah,
and have
you
another
can do.
interview.
You
so.
can do, yeah.
So, I mean, you've only been here sort of a year so far, but if you were to look back at when you first started in September, is there anything you'd say to yourself?
Yeah, I'd probably just tell myself, don't worry, it will work out. It'll be fine. You got this.
Good. That's pretty sound, I think. Yeah.
It's a big decision going to university.
Yeah, of course it is.
And it's worse when you do it the second time around, because you really know how big of a decision it is.
Yeah.
You know, like I know what I was getting into, you know. But yeah, I just look back at her and just say, you know, you're doing the right thing, carry on.
Aww.
Whatever happens, and it happens for a reason.
Yeah, definitely.
And make the most of it.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice to myself.
So that was your advice to yourself. What advice would you give to a new student joining in this coming September? What would you say to them?
Just completely immerse yourself in, you know, the opportunities, the experiences out there at the university. And, you know, you can do that while having fun. You can do that, you know, while having a life. It's not, you know, it's just those little things. It's a community at the end of the day, you know. Some of us, we just need to know that there are other people out there to, you know, just have that support network, and having that community within the university. Honestly, you never feel alone. So my advice, just to get involved, you know, little or small, little or big, or whatever, however you want to do it. Get involved if you can, and make the most of your uni experience, because you may be lucky like me and, you know, have the experience again, but you might not be lucky to have the experience again, and you're then in full-time employment before you know it, you know. So just make the most of it and enjoy it, and you can do it. You're like, I never thought I could, and here I am. Here I am.
That's great. We need you on our freshers stand, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this student.
I'm not very good at public speaking though, so maybe just have signs
you are.
there.
That's been a really interesting conversation. I've certainly learned a lot, and I'm
Same. I want to go to Malaysia now. I'm like, ooh.
So we've got to our final question now,
Yeah.
which is our answer one, ask one question. So you're going to answer a question from the previous guest, and you're going to pose one to the next one.
Okay.
So the question we've got from our previous guest is, have you got a favourite spot on campus that you like to go to?
Oh, a favourite spot. I like sitting in the mix, because, you know, you can have caffeine, or if it's been a really stressful day, you can have some more caffeine. So either the mix or anywhere on campus, you know, the place, the whole university, I could go anywhere and feel comfortable where I am. But
good.
The mix is great, and it's a nice little spot, and you bump into people and you're like, oh yeah, I haven't seen you for a while.
Which is what we do. Hi, I haven't seen you for a while. How have you getting on? But for us, it's really handy, because students, obviously, when they're using it, like you said, we can bump into them in a less formal setting, I suppose. But yeah, absolutely. Good. Do you still feel like you're learning where everywhere is on campus? Like, is there any spots that you feel you haven't really explored?
Yeah, well, you took me somewhere today,
right.
and I'd never seen it in my life.
Oh, the quiet study area.
Yeah, the quiet study.
It's great.
It was very quiet.
It is.
Yeah, very, very quiet. I felt like even if I breathed, I might have been too loud. So yeah, there are some places in the university that
interesting to know.
Oh, also, I went up to the courtroom.
Yes,
that's really
it's
cool.
amazing, isn't it?
I was blown away.
Yeah, it's a great space.
We had to meet up there, and it actually looked like a courtroom. I thought I was in trouble.
That's wonderful. No.
Yeah, and like it's those little things like that, and also like some of my other friends from different faculties, like I've got my friend from dentistry who I met in Malaysia, from the Malaysia trip, and she said there's like a whole like dentist suite.
There is,
and I'm
it's
like,
great. It's really lovely. It's in
like,
James Hare building.
Yeah, she's like, you can get your teeth sorted if you want, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, what?
I'm waiting for them to need case studies. I'm like, do any students on the dentistry course need case studies? I'm more than happy to volunteer.
I'm hoping the exactly same thing. I'm like, yeah, just let me link me, please. So yeah, there's all these amazing places that I literally had no idea, and I know that paramedic science have got a big bit now in the hold, isn't it, or that building there?
Yeah.
Near around there.
There's so many. I mean, we're quite lucky because obviously we're all aligned to all the different schools. So we do get to explore all over campus. But we're always like, do students know about this spot and this spot? So it kind of gives us a clue, maybe we need to do like a spotlight on these like places. There is a lot of hidden gems on campus, I have to say, because I'm quite nosy. So I do go and explore quite a lot. So yeah.
That's great.
Brilliant.
So until next time, it's goodbye from Ellie.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Laura.
Goodbye.
That's goodbye from me. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to the Student Experience podcast. If you would like to be a future guest, email studentexperiencesteam@uos.ac.uk or follow the links to our podcast application form through our Brightspace page. You can also reach out to us through our Instagram page, UOS_student experience.